You are listening to
Marty and the Breaux. For example, if we start from the beginning with, like, I like to go in deep. Let's give an example of just in the beginning, right, with Adam and Eve. You know what I mean? In my opinion, that whole situation and story is fucked. You know what I'm saying? It's a completely insane situation to be in because, like, you know, God created man, this garden, and Satan, you know, or let's say Satan was there before. There's a little, you know, Satan was there in general. Either way, God is God, the Alpha, the Omega, the Almighty God, right? He allowed his children to be in a garden with the most evil of evil, Satan. He's Satan. You know what I'm saying? The serpent was, you know, how you get worse than Satan?
That's how the story goes.
Yeah, I'm not making this up. You can read it for your damn self, right? You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I look at it, I'm like, let's pretend God was a father. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, would you, you know, if you saw a dad, you know, with who the dad knows. It's not like God don't know. God knows who Satan is. He's God. Remember that, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
your dad knows that there is a child molester in the park, and his kids are just running around the park, and he's like, hey, see that guy who's a child molester? Don't talk to him. But yeah, go on and do whatever you want to do after that, though. Yeah, you'd be like, you know, well, look, all right. I don't know if we could blame the children. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's the children's fault that what's going on here, bro. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you should have done something about the guy we know, you know what I'm saying, is a child molester, you know? So there's little things like that made me start thinking, you know, like, and like I said, it's not to bash religion. The issue I have is maybe God of the Bible is real. Maybe God's maybe Jesus did come back and all that. What my issue is he damn sure didn't write the book. So, you know, like, what do we know some men, some people wrote this book, and, you know, saying, and, you know, it's possible that it's tainted. Even if there's some truth in the book, there's also some parts of man in the book. So why would we take everything that it says as gospel when we know that's, you know, like, you can look at the book and see that there are some contradictions in it. So then that obviously means that even if there is some truth, there's some bullshit too. So what are we doing here, right? You know, so that's that's what happened with me, where it was just like, all right, like the minute you see one thing that doesn't quite make sense, you can't unsee it, right? You know, you're like, well,
no, it's kind of like I was watching Ozark is one of the popular shows right now on one of the streaming channels.
Okay.
and I was enjoying, I was into it. I got to about episode 6 or something. And there was something about this, one of the scenes that troubled me, some character motivation that wasn't quite right. And once I saw that one scene and it didn't match up with, I was like, then I couldn't watch it anymore. It's like, if this doesn't make sense, how can I believe any of the other stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, no, continuity.
That was just the continuity. You get that break in continuity with Christianity and with a belief in God or religion. You get that break in continuity, and it's hard to get that back. For me, it is, at least.
I agree, and like I like to go into like go kind of off the deep end with it, with, you know, going into, I guess, if God is real, if God of the Bible is real, I'm about to go off the deep end with you. If God of the Bible is real, I think he's the bad guy. I think he's the bad guy of the story. And let's get into it, right? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
When I look at, you know, like the story of, you know, Adam and Eve with the, you know, the tree of knowledge, I'm a firm believer in knowledge is power. What that means to me is God was trying to keep power away from Adam and Eve because he was telling them not to gain it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, keep them docile.
And just to be, I don't really know that story. So just recap real quickly. This is one of the portions of the Bible. And
the beginning of the Bible. This is God creating. Okay. Yeah. We're talking about Genesis right now.
Early parts.
Yeah. You know, I thought everybody read Genesis.
Yeah, my apologies. I just, it really didn't. Evidently, that Bible study I went to, or that
I can't. Maybe as an adult, the Bible is one of the best reading. Like, it is. If you read the Bible as, like, you know, like something, you know, Tolkien wrote or something, like, you know, saying something like, you know, Harry Potter, fucking good ass book. You know what I mean? When you take it in that turn, it's like, man, God was wilding, man. Like, this dude, you know. But
he was wilding.
He was wilding, bro. God was tripping, man. He was. You see what he murdered? You know, he just take offing people left and right. You know. But anyway, so like so in the story, you know, in the beginning, you know, he created man, right? You know, saying from the ground, from the soil, and then, you know, he bore a woman from his rib, right? You know, say he took woman out of Adam's rib, right? So I'm super Cliff Notes version here. There'll be some religious people going in and giving their interpretations and all this, but I'm giving you the facts on the ground of what was said and what was done. So when I look at it, I'm like, God basically said, hey, you can, this is it's Garden of Eden. You can have your lay of the land. You can have whatever you want. Do all, eat anything you need, you can't, and one thing you can't do, don't eat the fruit from this tree. This one tree right here, it's called the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You don't touch it. You don't touch that tree. Oh yeah, and don't talk to the snake. The snake's a bad guy. Don't talk to the evil snake. Don't touch the evil tree, And like I said, my issues in this immediately is one, okay, God, I created all this. Why have the evil tree in the garden in the first place? Why are we playing this game of why are you testing my gangster right now, God? Like, why do that when we don't even know right from wrong yet, right? This is the beginning of the story, right? So there's just so many things wrong with, what he's doing. It's like, I don't know. It's toxic behavior.
What was the meaning of that? What are people supposed to get from that story?
I mean, that's all, in my opinion, super subjective. I have been in his ways on our ways, his thoughts on our thoughts. But that's shorthand for. You hear what I mean? That's a big, that's how they
go in a lot of different directions.
That's how they get you exactly. It's just it's not it's God's plan, God's will kind of thing, right? So it's. Okay. I don't know what the hell the idea. Like apparently, we were born sinners. We had sin in our heart because that's how He created us, or some weird. Like it's just like I don't completely understand exactly. It's weird as fuck.
That's part of the problem with religion is that when you think about it for 4 seconds, it just doesn't add up, man.
It don't add up at all. I mean, like I said, I like to humanize God, because if you look at God in the Bible specifically, you look at His actions, and just imagine that being a man. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if imagine if God was your dad, right? And you were a kid and you were chilling, and God was like, "Hey, don't you read them books over there? You don't have to learn none of that shit over there. You don't have to talk to that person over there. Don't do none of that." That's the only explanation you get. And because you have no other explanation, this smooth talking Satan, you know what I mean? Satan. Smooth talks you into talking because he's Satan, you know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway, Smooth talks you into defying God, which all kids do, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're his children, and then God's that
wasn't a hard he didn't have to do that much.
Whoa, let's get deep. Bro, we know what God did as a punishment? No, in the Bible, it says God cursed what woman to when they bear kids for it to be, to hurt. That's why women, when they go into labor, it's painful because, she tempted Adam to eat the fruit, and Adam was cursed to work the land for all eternity. That's why men have to work and women have to have kids, and why it hurts. That's the explanation, because we ate from the fruit. And you get what I'm saying? It's just like, what? Well, so God, the guy, so you're telling me the guy who loves me, right? He loves me. You know what I'm saying? You're telling me the all-knowing knows the best way, the best decision to do everything. That guy decided it was best to leave me in a garden. You know what I'm saying? You start really breaking it down, thinking about it. It's like, if that was a guy, if that was anybody else, you imagine that on the news, they were on the news. Today, local man leaves his son in the park with a known child molester. You'd be like, why would he do that? Tells the kid, don't talk to the child molester. The kid talks to the child molester, ends up being molested. The guy got mad at the kid, cursed the kid, cut off or whatever, the equivalent of a curse, saying for all eternity, cursed the kid and the kid's children for all eternity. And, you'd be like, whoa, for what again? It just doesn't quite make any sense, and that's, that's my issues with the Bible, and we're not getting into
you had thought about the,
that's just one story. That's just, we're still in chapter 1,
you were saying also, imagine if God were your boyfriend or something like that. God, imagine if God was like your dad or like a boyfriend. He's like an abusive, overbearing, that's what he'd be like. It's like, imagine that's me, hey girl, I love you to death. You know what I'm saying? I want us to be together. Saying, I want you to put me before, anybody. Put me first, or I'll burn you for all eternity in a lake of fire. It's like, whoa. How do we get here? Eternity? Like forever, for all of eternity. It's a long time, God, for some shit. I didn't get to choose my parents. I've only been here for 80, some odd years. I'm on this planet making decisions, and talk about a permanent solution to a short-term problem, God. You know what I mean? That doesn't,
Like, if you were God, would you do this? And that's my biggest issue with God of the Bible. Why I'm not saying God isn't real, or I don't think God is real, but that isn't the crux of my issue with God. My issue with God of the Bible is, if he is real, we got problems, God. You know what I'm saying? God, you gonna have to see these hands when I see you, nigga. Like, what you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? If God of the Bible is real, I get to heaven, bro. Me and God got beef, son. I'm gonna be like, come here, God. Come here. Let me talk to you, son. Let's I got some questions, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? What's going on with, you know what I'm saying, all this turmoil? Why the hell, you know what I'm saying, you make Trump president? You know what I'm saying? Kids in Africa dying of malaria and shit. You know what I'm saying? What we doing out here, God? What's the big plan? You say you got a plan? Tell me the plan. Tell me the plan, God, before I smack the shit out you. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be my energy, you know, with God of the Bible, right? So the way I look at it is, what I think, when you take all the bullshit to the side, when you move because all the Bible is, right, in my opinion, is people who lived, you know, way back in the gap. Not saying they didn't know, not saying we know everything more than they do now, but, you know, saying there's some things we know that are right now that they didn't know. People who didn't know a lot. Right.
Oh my God! They
explanation
didn't know,
of the world.
They didn't know what was over the other side of the hill. I mean,
exactly.
A lot of people they couldn't read. Most people couldn't read back at that time.
Yeah, it was bad, right? You know, and I think
flat Earth. I mean, they had no concept of the planets. And no, they were definitely.
And if there were a group of people that knew it, you know, it wasn't widespread. And you know, we weren't uniformly, you know, intelligent. There may have been groups, because, you know, there may have been groups here and there that knew some shit, because the Egyptians knew something, you know, a little shit like that, right? But you know, saying it's not whatever, you know. I think
it wasn't common knowledge.
Exactly, whatever the fuck they were on,
wasn't not common knowledge back then.
Exactly. Well, I think the Bible, if you look at the Bible and strip all the bullshit and look at, I think instead of looking at the Bible, the best way to tell, let's just say there is a God. I like to let's steel man that and say God is real, right? You know what I'm saying? God is real, but I think the best way to tell what he would actually want, because another issue I have with God is the idea of worship. If I was God, if God was real, isn't it weirdly arrogant? Would you want to worship somebody who needs to be worshiped? You know what I mean? Like somebody's like, worship me, love me, it's all me. You know, you'd be like, bro, you know, it's more like lame, weird shit. Like, calm down, bro, just chill. You God, we know you God, you know?
Dude.
Yeah, you know, you'd be like, nah, son, you know what I'm saying? You worship me, no one else before me, or you all die and your kids are cursed. And, you know, it's just like real kind of bitch shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what else to say it. It's like, my God, if God is real, the God I believe in ain't no bitch. You know what I'm saying? He ain't worried about no weird ass, you know, worship and, you know, oh, they hurt my feelings. Like, you know, like I think, and if you look at the world and how it operates now, I don't think he does that. I don't think he worries about none of that kind of shit. I think God, it looks to me like God was like, okay, if there was a God, he made this shit. It's like making a watch. He made the watch, you know, turn it on, clicked it, and it set that shit over and let it play out. And that's what's happening right now, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and if we're made in his image and call us by our name, shout out Erykah Badu, right? But, you know, he made us creators, right? We are born to create. And I believe that we're supposed to create heaven or hell here on earth. I think most of that shit is metaphor in the Bible. And, you know what I'm saying? I think it's metaphor for, you know, people back in the day being super poetic and shit, you know what I'm saying? And trying to explain how life should be, how you should live your life. And a lot of the stuff that's relevant in the Bible is still relevant because we're all still fucking human beings, still doing the human experiment. It's same shit, different day kind of thing, right? So a lot of the lessons that were learned are still like treat people the way you want to be treated. Some of that stuff's still relevant to this day because we're still all humans. Like, you know, those things, you know, that were learned are in the Bible. I think those are the shit you should take from it. Like, you know, I believe deeply in living Christ-like, even though I don't worship Christ. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
you like what you just saw? Make sure you like, share, subscribe so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials. Links all down in the description. And let's keep rocking.